I've had advice from a mentor before who's basically said that melody is king, and you should spend all your time in the crafting of the melody. And while that's generally pretty decent advice, I think it more is representative for pop music, or if you're writing for certain areas of modernity. But he also said that, okay, no one really turns around and says, oh wow, check the chord out on that. But the thing is, I've always done that. Sometimes I think a chord can really make a song. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with that, because that's kind of the thing that turns me on in writing to making songs even in the first place. And I think arguably that the chords, I worry about the chords more than I worry about the melody, because those sort of just fall out of my noggin. But the chords, it feels like there's a lot more craft involved, and I think you can have just as much heart in the crafting of your chords to convey the music. And if you're not doing that, then maybe you're missing a trick. So I'd like to give you an example from something that I'm just working on. And I started with a straight kind of major, and then the cliche thing to do would be to go and then the third chord I've got as a nice major seventh anyway, quite pretty, but it's essentially an F. So it's just doo-wop chords. It's or like a 50s, it's Dream Angel or whatever, right? And you could do a thing, as my song's melody sort of goes a little bit, right? But of course I'm using a sixth here, so that there's a off the F major 7, maybe even go into a bit of add 9, and then a 6th instead of the 4th chord just being the straight major. Now away from that, let's attack the 2nd chord in this sequence. 2nd chord, and you feel like, oh, I've been here loads of times before, and you might want to convey that, which is fine. It's all fine. But what if you could really make it even more powerful? So I say, you could exchange the 2nd chord for another chord. So what if we took a chord, the 2nd chord, that was further away from the 3rd chord, but still worked somehow? So you can sometimes look for this. So we've got the difference between this and this. But what about this as a 2nd chord? And then to the 3rd chord. Ooh. Now it aches, doesn't it? It's created ache. I haven't sung a word. So now I'm going to play these 3 or 4 chords in the sequence of which, I wrote them and modified that kind of expected delivery. 2nd chord. Which is a little bit more powerful. Well, make up your own minds. But it's what drives me forward, at least. You've got to verses. Yeah, that one. It enhances the 3rd chord. It's not about the chord you're playing. Very often, it's about the context created by the chord you've just played before it that gives it all of its power. Yeah, that's my opinion.